Hello. Hello, Miss Annie Bear. How you doing today? Well, I decided to do a bit of an impromptu thing, but earlier this week, whenever I was on my channel, we did have quite a few people who needed some help with just the pure energy work. And so I thought, I didn't know it whenever I created it, but apparently today is National Pet Day. So I figured I'll just come on here for a little bit and for anybody that's new here, my name is Debbie DeMint, and in 2003, I learned hands-on Shiatsu for horse and rider. And in 2008, my heart horse, Galahad, came home. And one of the first things I did with him, of course, was do a hands-on Shiatsu balancing. And what that does is, if you've ever had acupuncture, you'll know that the meridians are rivers of energy that flow in and around the body in a specific pattern. And so those can be accidentally pulled out of alignment. You can end up with what I call congestion or stagnation. And what that means is the energy, kind of like what happens with a river whenever you end up with like sticks or boulders or debris or mud that falls into the creek, it'll begin to slow down and stagnate the energy in that place. And what happens is it mirrors out into the bloodstream. And so it will set up this cascade of problems, usually with the body. The meridians are connected to various organs in the body. And so what happens is whenever I go through energetically, like I said, Galahad and I played around with it, and we discovered that, of course, you don't have to be hands-on, as I was trained, in order to affect the energy flow. And so I began doing hands-off Shiatsu for animals, primarily with horses at first, but obviously can do that with any critter, and obviously can do that around the world. And then later on, oh, wonderful. Hi, Lori Unsinger. Later on, I went ahead and placed that then on an MP3 because while I was doing a whole bunch of one-on-one for animals, and if you have an issue, I will say, if you have an issue specifically that needs a bit more of a deep dive, I am still available for one-on-ones through my website, which the link will be in the description box below, but it's simply debbiedemint.com. And so, yeah, I still have the one-on-ones offered, but I also put what I'm going to be doing today onto MP3s. And so you can play the MP3s at any time. And I like to do it at least once a day. And what that does is it's kind of like brushing your teeth. It just simply makes sure that your meridians are flowing in the correct energy pattern. And so what will happen is if you're sensitive to energy, I'm going to be working with the energy fields today. And so you may actually feel me moving in and around your body. So if you feel like somebody touching your back, let's say, or your elbow or your knee, or sometimes the face, that'll just be me energetically coming and going. And hold on, everybody, we're going to scoot the thing down just a smidge here. There. I know sometimes it's a little seasicky, but yeah, I thought I would give some background info on who I am in case people have wandered in and they haven't met me before. So that's some of my background and some of what I do. The energy healing is absolutely some of what I do. And primarily I've been focused on the animals. The reason why is because, for one thing, animals have always been one of my first friends. And so they've always been there to support me. I usually end up talking to a critter before I'll talk to a human. Although people are critters too, so don't worry about it. The energy that we're going to be working with today is absolutely universal. So it's going to work on people as well. And what I thought I would do to start off with is I wanted to bring up a couple of case studies, and these are kind of fun. If you've wandered onto my website, you might have actually seen one of these. And so I'm going to bring this up on the stage. But this has been a few years back now. And so this was one of the case studies where she used my MP3 for the dogs. And so this is one of the energy things that happens is a lot of times, I would say a good 90 to 95% of critters, people, you're going to see them slow down, relax, do a lot of yawning. Some cases, they'll just simply go to sleep. But it tends to be very, very relaxing for most of the animals that are having the meridians worked with. And so this calming effect is absolutely helpful for those animals that have been rescued or are coming from a situation where this boy wasn't necessarily a rescue case, but he had certainly been pounced through a couple of different homes by the time this person had gotten a hold of him. So I suspect what happened was as he grew, he probably got a little bit bigger than what they had expected him to be. And then he went to the next home and he was in his teenage phase and ended up at the next one. Hey, woman. Nice to see you, Karen. And so you can certainly take your time and read on the screen. One of the other interesting things, as I was saying about doing one-on-ones, it was completely unintentional, but this same pup, he tends to be really all out. He's a sight hound and a hound mixture. And so whenever he plays, he goes full tilt. And he was playing in the backyard and accidentally impaled himself on a stick. So I was immediately, as soon as they phoned me, I immediately began working with his energy system. And of course, I'm urging them, get him to an emergency vet now. It's a miracle your dog didn't just kill himself outright with the stick. But thankfully, he pulled through. And the owner credited me with saving that dog's life simply because we were able to do the energy work at the exact same time that he was receiving medical care. And that's just it. What I'm doing is it's complementary. It is never intended to replace any medical care that you're going to get from a veterinarian or any of the other medical communities. But what I do will be working on the energy field, which can affect, like I said, emotions. It can also affect digestion, especially if you've got older pets or those that are sensitive to different foods. This can certainly help with this. And as she's saying in this testimonial, the dog Obi, he was so sensitive to words and will flinch and shy at times. And some of that is his temperament. Sight hounds tend to have that sensitivities as well. But the MP3 was helping him settle into his new life. And the main thing that she was finding with that was he was really, as she's saying at the start of this, he's a hyper boy. And so she's played it, and immediately he'll change in the energy. And what she means by that is he immediately laid down and got calm. And by doing that, whenever they are in a new space and place, that will help them to be able to emotionally see what's going on. And then they'll be able to adapt better to their environment. Hi, Annie Bear. Hi, Hypnicity. Hey, Karen. Hi, Lauren. You're so welcome. You are so welcome. And then the other one that I wanted to show, let's see, go over here right quick. This was a lot of fun. Who you are seeing right now was a horse that came through, and his owner. This photo that was taken was right after they had just gotten him, and they're actually at a pro rodeo in this photo, and so the horse was actually quite new to them. I think they'd only had him for a couple of months, and so I'm just going to go ahead and scroll to the testimonial, and as she's saying, you need to hear what the MP3 could do. Now, what she was using in this one specifically was the horse MP3. The one in the previous slide with the dog was the dog MP3 that I have for sale. But in this one, this particular horse was at a professional rodeo, and he had only been with him for a few months. The other horse, of course, had to go into the arena. And the new boy went into high anxiety, screaming and pulling back. He was tied up to the trailer, of course. And so she took him around for a walk, but he was rearing up because he was anxious. He was He was so anxious that he was actually beginning to rear up, which is quite dangerous. So she said we went back to the trailer where he parked himself with some hay and sat there eating the hay. And she sat next to him and played the horse MP3. Now, the horse suddenly did a ton of yawning, which is great. Yawning is one of those signs that I look for whenever I'm doing the energy work. And that is an indication that they are getting the meridians cleared and cleaned. And so he was releasing a lot of energy with that. And he finally cocked a hind leg, which means that he was relaxing at that point, and he finally chilled out. But she said the best part was that he was calm for the rest of the rodeo. And like I was saying about the dog, it allows this MP3 being played and the energy work that I'm doing allows them to be calm so that they can absorb but not be freaked out emotionally by what's going on in their environment. It calms them down enough and brings them up and out of the fight and flight mode in order to begin to realize, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. Oh, it's going to be okay. Like in the case of this horse, I'm not going to be eaten by a lion because the other horse was removed from me. He was able to cope, as she said, when the other horse left him again. So that was one of the things that I wanted to share on the slide. And of course, there's the boy again. He's quite a handsome fella. And you need to be more calm. Resets. Sure. So let me see if I can figure out how to bring myself back up a bit bigger. Wonderful. So since everybody's in here today, do the MP3s? Yeah, actually they will. Hypnicity is asking, do the MP3s make for a faster adrenal reset? Yeah. Yes, they will. There is a human version of the MP3, and there is also there is a carbon to crystalline based MP3. And the only reason I'm mentioning to you hypnicity is because you tend to sit in on a lot of the Lemurian information, and so that would be the only other one that I would recommend too for support. Anti-bears use that one quite frequently. But yeah, the human one will absolutely help to foster the adrenal reset. And the reason why is because when I'm doing the MP3s, I'm going over all of the meridians. And kidneys, of course, and the bladder meridian are what's tied to the adrenals. And so that definitely helps with the calming. But with the MP3s, I go over all of the energy meridians for the entire system. And the main difference between what's on here, I actually, whenever I get underway here in a minute, I'm going to be doing some energy clearing, and that will be for universal. So that will affect absolutely all the species that are around. And so by doing just the human MP3, I'm way more focused on just that species. So it's more of a deep dive into the energy system for, like I said, just canines for the dogs, just felines for the cats, and a deep dive, of course, for the humans or the horses. Yeah. Your puppers are pretty cool. And yeah, like she's saying, the dogs like my voice. Yeah, a lot of times I'll send everybody to sleep, and that's just the energy system that's being released. And so a lot of times what will happen is they're so keyed up and so anxious, and like Annie Bear's saying up here, I need to be more calm. And so what will happen is as the meridians are coming into balance and as I'm doing the energy work, that's kind of a byproduct. You will begin yawning. Some of the other releases that you can see are sneezes, coughing, crying is one of the ones that can happen, although not as frequently, but it's still a release. Coughing, I think I already mentioned that. You can burp. You can have tummy rumbles. Yes, you can pass wind. I see that actually with my horses. I look for that as a sign whenever I'm working through them. Usually they'll pass wind partway through. But it's something where As you release, this allows that physical response, and those are all indicators that you have actually released toxins from your body. And this is going to be a good thing, don't panic. Same thing with your puppers or anybody else. There is a physical reaction that happens whenever this happens, and so you're seeing the yawning or the sneezing or the coughing or the burping and the burping. These are physical releases into your bloodstream. And so all you have to do is get yourself a drink of water if you see any of these indications. And so that will help to flush out anything that may have gotten into the bloodstream from this. Yeah. Anything to drive the fleas away. Huh? No. Um, I don't usually product place, but I absolutely, the only caveat that I'm going to have for this is if your dogs have white on the feet, don't do it. But ivermectin and Advantage, the flea treatment for Advantage was absolutely incredible. Yeah, a candy bear awake at 3:30. My favorite has been 11 o'clock. Let's do it 1 o'clock. Let's do it 3:30, and let's do it at 4:30 in the morning. And a lot of that is just simply because we've got a lot of photon energies coming in. The other thing, hypnicity, that you can use for fleas is diatomaceous earth. You'll want to use food grade only for diatomaceous earth. Sometimes that's shortened to DE. Hi, Amanda Carroll. And make sure that whenever you go to, you can put that on their coats. Just a little bit goes a long way. And you can also use that on your carpets if you need for fleas. But if it is food grade, yeah, you can just put just a little bit in your hands and then just rub it into their coats. Now, I'm going to warn you, if you put it on too heavy when they go to shake, you're going to end up with a dust cloud. And that's not fun. I've had that with my pony before, where I've used diatomaceous earth on her, and then she's giving an almighty shake, and I'm standing there coughing. It won't harm you, but yeah, it does dry. It dries out. What it is if you were to take those, the diatoms are these itty bitty teeny tiny creatures that come from the ocean. And in some species, they gather the diatomaceous earth from the old fossil beds from like ages ago. And so what happens is if you were to look at that underneath a powerful microscope, you could see the little jaggedy outlines of the diatoms. And so what happens is as they come in contact with the insects, it will scratch and score their outer chiton, the outer exoskeletons. And so it will dry them out. Kind of like making them walk through shredded glass. But it's not going to harm as long as it is food grade diatomaceous earth. There is a much cheaper version called pool grade. Do not use that ever. Don't. Just don't. It's not safe enough. It's great for your swimming pool. Yeah, it's great for your swimming pool, but it is not safe for your pets. But like tea garden chickens saying, it's not jagged, so you can't use it. But it's also it's just not clean enough. But speaking of chickens, that was something that I used to use because it's a great thing to offer your chickens a dust bath. And I used to offer them a shallow pan of diatomaceous earth. And you talk about happy bunnies. Those chickens were just thrilled with that. And I also mixed it in with their food because they were in an outside situation. And by mixing it in with their pellets, it kept the bugs out of their food for them. Plus, it also contains a lot of the trace minerals and nutrients. So I really like diatomaceous earth, in case you can't tell. But yeah, as far as a stay on type, spot type treatment, I absolutely adored Advantage. And that was the one that I used for my inside outside kitty cats. It was incredible. But like I said, if your dog has white on the feet, there are some of the breeds that have a mutation, so that's dangerous for them. So If in doubt, look it up. And it's the same thing with the, if you've got something for the kitty cats, make sure that you do not use pyrethrins. Or is it the permethrins? I think it's the permethrins. Pyrethrins are the gentler of the two. But that's not what I'm actually you're talking about. Got a little bit sideways here. White on the feet, you're not supposed to use, and the reason why is because it's just a layperson's way of saying that there's that genetic marker in the makeup of a dog, especially if you've got like a Heinz 57. So if they've got white feet, then don't do it. And I'm not sure for like the white fur itself. If you had something like a Samoyed, I'm not sure that that would be a problem for them. You'd have to look that one up. I mean, like if you look at a terrier, mostly they'll be brown, but if they've got like little white on the tips of their paw pads, like on their toes, or on their chest, or on their nose, those are all potential. That is a potential that they could have that genetic mutation. The genetic mutation it didn't arise until the 80s, the 1980s. Ivermectin was discovered in the 70s. And so the genetic mutation that causes that didn't actually arise, and that was primarily in the collies, but it can also be in the greyhounds or the sighthounds. So so if in doubt, if you see white on the, like white markings on their toe tips or on their chest or their nose, if in doubt, don't. Yeah, it's like with Rosie. I probably would either avoid it or ask specifically the vet. And that's for Advantage. If you were to use something they came out with one that was called Revolution right after Advantage. Advantage does not need to have doesn't need to have the vet prescription, but the Revolution does. And the reason why is because Advantage does not kill off the heartworms, but Revolution can. And so you absolutely need to work with your veterinarian whenever you're doing that. Yep, food grade stuff. Yeah, like this. Yeah. Be prepared for them. They're going to, if they're not used to it, birds are going to stare at it for a really long time. I had a friend in Georgia, and she put out a bird bath, just regular water for her birds, and she's like, "Why put it out there?" And they're not touching it. I said, "It's okay. It'll be okay. Let them just look it over for a while. They need to make sure that it's not going to eat them." Okay, great. So she takes the advantage. Great. Well, my dears, let's do some energy healing. Does anybody here specifically have something that they wanted to work with? I noticed we had some sensitivity going on. Miss Rosie. How is Rosie's back doing, by the way? And I did want to say hi to Frankie Bird. I love you, Frankie Bird. Did I put everybody asleep already? No, I was just curious to see how Rosie's back and leg was doing right quick. We're going to go ahead and reach out. Sorry, you're the dog. I'm going to get reached out and started on moving some congestion. We're going to start off on the neck and the spine. Oh no, you've added puzzle balls. How could you do that? That's like, oh no. Oh, you've been resting. That's great. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Tea Garden Chicken. Hello, Frankie Bird. Oh, she likes the puzzle balls. That's interesting. That's great. So it gives her something to do. Just below my ribs, down to above my hips. Okay, so that might have been it. The reason why I'm asking is because sometimes whenever I work with various animals, I will hook into their energy system, and usually I'm pretty good about hooking out later on. But if it's somebody that is struggling a little bit more, a lot of times it'll continue to allow. And it's been the same thing, like what Lori Hunsinger is saying. The spine hurting just a little below my ribs and down to above my hips. I've got a rib cage in between two ribs. So that's one of those things where it's like, kidney area, knee. Oh my, Annie Bear. Do you think you picked something up? That sounds like you might be fighting something off. And your hips hurt. Okay. Well, for anybody that's sensitive to energy right now I'm actually on the rib cage and working on the spine that is the lower part of the rib cage. And we're just going to ease down a little bit along the spine and towards the hips. Some of it can be from the way that the feet are. Sometimes if the feet are not moving correctly or making correct contact with the earth, that can cause some stress on the knee, and then it'll go up into the hip in the back. And then the other way that it can go is sometimes the spine has stressors, somatic stressors that are placed on it, and it will cause a pulling on the fascia that's wrapped around the muscling, and so it causes a pulling effect. And so you'll end up with a displaced pain. So I'm just working through the energy system right now, in and around the spine. There are three main channels that go on either side of the spine. And of course, down the spine itself is another meridian. That's another main channel. So we'll just clear all of that out, get that moving. Ooh, that was nice. Down the back of the hips. Back of the legs and the calves. Hold on a second. We're going to hang out at the back of the knee for people. Knee seems to be a little bit of a boogaboo. And right now what I'm doing is I'm working on the energy system for everyone. So this is for critters as well as for people. As I said, it doesn't really matter if you're sensitive to energy or not. What's happening is your energy system will pick up on this, and it will start coming into alignment with what I'm putting out into the universe for the correct flow along the meridians. So this is just a really easy, gentle way for you to go into an alignment and to just simply have your energy system going at the correct flow. And a lot of times you're going to find that that is going to cause a lot of emotional calming and soothing. You'll be able to breathe. And when your body realizes that it is not in that fight and flight mode, then your digestion calms down. You'll either stop the emotional eating, or the other way, sometimes you're so stressed out and freaked out that you don't really eat, and then whenever you do eat, your digestion's messed up because you're so freaked out. And that has to do with, like I said, the somatic response of the fight and flight. And so by working with the meridians and the energy system, that tells your body that it's okay. The world is safe. And that will move you over into the digestion mode. And of course, we'll clean and clear some of the congestion that can happen along the digestive meridians, which are the stomach, small intestine, and large intestine. Fun fact, if you're struggling with your large intestine, that is another one where the meridian is connected to the lung. And so you can have breathing trouble and you think that there's either a cold or something going on environmentally, but it actually was something that you ate. And usually you can see that pop up about an hour after you've eaten something. You might struggle to eat, or your nose will get stopped up. Sometimes it'll even happen if you're sensitive to it. It'll happen even as you're eating it. But the lung and the large intestine, they do work in tandem. And again, these are energy systems in and around the body. Right now, I'm working on the elbow and the outer arms and the wrists, both sides at the same time. And there goes the hands off into Mother Earth. 16 points there. Beautiful. And we're going to go back to the spine in between both shoulders. And I'm going to work a little bit more on the neck and the base of the skull. There we go. Just working on the tummy right now. And of course, there's an optimum direction for the tummy to be going. So we're just going to go ahead and get that moving. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to work a little bit around everybody's base of the skull, ears. I'm going to work a little bit more around the skull itself and then the face. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have congestion around the eyes. We've got dryness in the eyes, corner of the eyes, the inner corner of the eyes. There is a ting point, meaning the beginning point of the bladder meridian. The outer corner of the eyes, gallbladder meridian. Under the eyes, we're going to go for the stomach. Okay. And now we're going to work a little bit around the nose and the upper lip, sinus cavity. And again, I'm just simply telling you where I'm located right now as I'm working the energy. In case you're sensitive, sometimes it can feel really weird. Speaking from personal experience, whenever I'm working on my own, whenever I'm playing my MP3s, or I'm playing back energy, it can feel a little strange. And for those that really aren't that sensitive to energy, the things that you can experience is you may randomly sigh, or you may have a pop come from a back or a knee. And that's just energy that's being shifted off. Your body is relaxing in certain places. I'm working right now with the ears again and the TMJ, which is where your jawbone meets your ear. And again, some of the stressors that are down where your feet aren't connecting Mother Earth can sometimes actually pull all the way up into your neck, top of the shoulder, under the shoulder blade, elbow. And this area with the TMJ, it can actually pull sometimes around your face and your jaw. So we're just going to baby that a little bit. Give it some pampering here. Beautiful. That's beautiful. Hello, Rush. Hello, Leah. Thank you for stopping in. If you've got anything specific right now that you would like me to work on or focus on just a little bit more, go ahead and pop it in the chat for me. Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Lori Hunsinger is asking, um, yeah, especially with your daughter. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. So, Laura, if you want, you can come back in here and replay the energy session here where I'm working on these different areas. Oh, goodness. Rush. Been grinding a lot. Yeah, one of my siblings growing up did that a lot. That can be pain expression. That can also be just frustrations. And sometimes that can be from, like I said, if your feet aren't making the appropriate contact to the ground, it can actually stack all the way up into the jaw itself. That can lead to the teeth grinding. Rush, I'm actually working around your diaphragm right now. Beautiful, Leah. That's great. Hmm. Rush, unless you've got something specific, like you already know that you've got an underlying pain issue someplace specific, it feels like yours is also a little bit of a challenge with your diaphragm, which would probably indicate that you've got a little bit of tummy trouble challenge. Something's challenging you that you're eating. And it's probably one of those deals where it's like just set whatever the offender is aside for maybe a couple of days and see if the tooth grinding eases off a little bit. Now that's unusual. Rosh, I'm going to send you a little bit of extra targeted energy right quick. You're getting a lot of different. I'm seeing different flashes of different things coming through. Yeah, including the. Did everybody hear that? My throat shutting down. Also with the lungs. That's interesting. Okay, so let me see if I can just chase this a little bit and get this going for you. It's not just one person's body energy that I'm working with here. There's actually a lot of people and a lot of critters, of course, have popped in. It's not just our pets that I've got hanging out with me here. I've actually got wild birds that have also popped in on this whole thing. There we go. That's better. That's much better. Just get that grounded off for you. Mm-hmm. You're very, very welcome. Mm-hmm. Like this. And yeah, we get so much trapped in our bodies that just it's because it's not just it's our it is our fight and flight. We have and you have obviously things going on in your life that are real, and but we also pick up things that we think is fun. But if you look at things that are on the internet or in our news or being presented even in TV or as entertainment on the radio, um, it causes stress in the body that you didn't even know. Any Bear, speaking as an old dog groomer, when they smell like that, definitely you can take a look at her food and see if you can back off with her food any grains that might be in the food. Um, the usual offenders were corn and wheat, and even the dogs are omnivores, and you're naturally going to find that. The dogs that I had that were coming through that had that, usually there was they had an a food allergic reaction, and so taking the grain out was usually the first thing. That especially there was one poor dog, I will never forget him. He smelled like a corn chip, no matter what we did. And I talked to the owner, and we got him on a different food. I'm going to warn you, some of the foods that are really high quality, what'll happen is your dog's going to go through a detox for about a month or two, and they stink to high heaven when that happens. Step poopies are really, really bad, but once it's all done, it's way better. The dog eats a lot more, the health issues clear up. In fact, I had one. It was a poodle. He didn't really smell bad, but he definitely had the allergies, the food allergies. But he had chronic ear conditions, and so when we got him over to past the detox point of the food, um, his his ear infections spontaneously cleared up. Oh, you are so welcome, Rush. So welcome. Hmm. Yeah, the one that I was using, it's simply called. It's from Chewy. If you look at the packaging, it says "I love you," and it's made in Boulder, Colorado. But the whole thing of it is, yeah. See, you're going to have to be picky with her treats too. Anything that she's eating um, can actually do that. Nope, we're not really into the sea turtle time just yet. We are still in the month of Kidney, and we will be for a few more days, at least until the 28th. So we've got another week of Kidney. Yep. Corn allergies were. I don't even think it's a matter of GMO, but that could be part of the problem. But some of the trouble with that is the corn itself. It's fascinating to me. I'm on the inner spine of the neck right now, so in between the throat processes, the windpipe, and the inner spine. Somebody's really needing that today. Um, but no, in archaeological records, they actually know when the Aztecs began doing the farming for the grain because their teeth. They didn't have any cavities prior to, and then as soon as they switched over and they began utilizing the corn, the teeth rotted out, which was pretty amazing. And that's just that there was no GMO back then, so it was that um, irritating to the body. I mean, it just instantly created the cavities. And so the archaeologists are like, yep, there's our marker. We know exactly when and where that was. Even with the cattle, because everybody is all, oh, we need to give corn to the cattle. I don't recommend it. If you can actually, if you've got a cow and you can keep them on grass, they were actually evolved to eat grass, not the mazes, not the cane. Um, it affects the rumen in their stomach. Well, I do not know who's got this going on, but yeah, at the moment, like I said, I'm working internally on the inner neck for someone, and so it's in between the back of the neck, the interior of the spine of the neck itself, in between that and the throat, the windpipe. Is that you, Amanda? Do you have the neck thing going on? Oh yeah, the ears. The ears are just a given, truthfully. Okay. It's easing up a little bit. The main thing and it's certainly helpful, is because this month is in Lemurian astrology. This is the month of the hummingbird, and it's Tirani is the name of the hummingbird, and it does speak to the voice. The essence of this month is the tiny voice from heaven, and as we step into more of our learning and feeling into our light being and our light body, sometimes we'll feel like we can't speak. And so sometimes that'll threaten the throat structure, and it will close things down. Yeah, my neck. Okay, Annie Bear is also saying I need my appetite to improve. My neck has arthritis, and see some of the digestives, the stomach meridian uh, is through some of these areas. Small intestines as well. Sorry, whenever I do this, the actual energy work itself is a right brained activity for me. So I tend to lose my speech pattern whenever I'm really getting in there with the energy and working with it. So I've had to kind of practice to keep talking while I'm doing these. There we go. Old injury. That's interesting, Amanda. Do you have a scar on anything? On your shoulder, I mean, on your left shoulder. That reminds me, Hypnicity, how's your hubby's shoulder replacement doing? Yeah, simple wear and tear. So yours is probably levered onto that from the spine, unless it was repetition. And again, if you've done any of the yawning, coughing, sneezing, burping, be sure to get yourself just a drink of water. Great. Okay. And again, it's pretty normal for people. By now, you're probably feeling pretty drowsy. Most of the animals will tend to be sleepy for this. Although occasionally we will get that rare duck that will come in and they will go the opposite way. They will suddenly have the look of eagles, where they look like they're looking at something 3 counties away. And suddenly they will be like a bright rubber ball and they will start bouncing around all over the place. And usually, what happens with that is when I'm doing the energy work, they have cleared off so much of the congestion. They had felt exhausted previously. And so they were getting the energy boost from all of their energy flow being opened up again. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Okay. That's great. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, yours was wear and tear. Yeah. I have relatives that did the same thing. And yeah, it's absolutely wear and tear. Yep. Yep. Oh, yeah. That's great. Yeah, I know. I've got a hand that it's kind of humorous. It was what retired me from the dog grooming. It wasn't carpal tunnel. It was the opposite side, so it was tunnel gervois. But it affected my hand so that I couldn't do the dog grooming anymore. Yep. Oh, that's so wonderful. So I'm attracting wildlife all over the place. That's amazing. Well, your little cardinals are so welcome. Yeah, I know. I've got 2 different species of blue jays that are asleep over the top of me. I usually have a huge flock of crows, murder of crows. It's usually what they're called, and the geese that come through. That's so much fun. Oh, they're very welcome. I'm just continuing to work a little bit more on the chest and heart space. Oh, beautiful. Jack's right in front of you. That's great. So wonderful. Okay. There we go. Nice big breath. And that's just it. And we're just going to fill that up with a little bit of extra energy because I know it's challenge season for the lungs. And again, challenge season for the throat. In the Northern Hemisphere, we've got a little bit of cold that usually challenges our respiratories. Yay. And back down on the internal spine. So this will be the internal lumbars. I think the reason why there's so much internal today is because, as I was saying earlier this week, In my live chat earlier this week, I felt the need to do an effervescent energy for everybody to kind of help us release the grief that was being saturated in. So it feels like it's needing to continue that with the spinal processes today. Some of the deepest tissues that we have are on the internal of the spine, also in the pelvic region on the internal, the pelvic floors and the hip, and the itty bitty, teeny tiny, little bitty muscles that hold us upright throughout the day. Sometimes we just need to and let it all go. Yeah, like Hypnicity's saying, exhausted from all the polarity in the world. That's exactly it. It's ridiculous. Too busy feeding 2D entities for that nonsense. But we're learning, we are learning. We're catching on to the tricks and things like that. And pulling up and away from that. Going up into 5D is how you get out of that trick. You stop playing their game. Okay, I'm going to work a little bit on everybody's feet. Just want to go ahead and get some more of this grounded into Mother Earth. Good. And we're going to bring that back up from Mother Earth. Yay. Beautiful. Well done. Okay, everybody. Oh, that's interesting. There must be an echo. Grief and making peace with ourselves. Wow, if that's an airplane, that thing's huge. Hopefully my internet's gonna hold. Oh yeah. Yes, and the energies as they come in, they can be quite a ride. Exhausted, doing a lot of sweating. Annie Bear, make sure that you're drinking water and maybe add a little bit of Himalayan rock salt to that to ensure that you're getting the right amount of sodium and trace minerals. Sorry, somebody's head was just needing a little bit of extra again. Yeah, it's like Hypnicity saying, I like the neutrality. Yeah, withdrew. Yeah, I've done the same. It's interesting because whenever I started off, the dolphins really wanted me to bring forward the Lemurian astrology, and so I did the same thing with the tarot. I do watch other people with the tarot, but they were very distinctive. They said no, that they absolutely wanted it to be just oracle cards and not the tarot. Alrighty then. And I think for exactly the same reason that you're saying it needs to be neutral. Anywhere, I would say absolutely it's a big sweating is a release. The other thing that it could be, let's see, head to toe sweats. Do you mind if I pick apart your what are you eating right now? That's good. Add salt to the water. And are you being challenged with something environmentally? Like this time of year, everybody's kids usually they've run through the gamut of colds and flus and all kinds of things. So sometimes there's just stuff that is in your environment that you are shaking out. Yep. Either one, Celtic or pink salt, either one is great. Yep. The pink salt will actually contain more of the trace minerals and the trace nutrients, but Celtic salt is also really good. So whichever one you happen to have on hand. Interesting. There you go. That's a nice release. Automatic writing said to restore the soil, mushrooms, improve health, perfect. Restore the soul. Let's restore Mother Earth's Garden of Eden right here. And it's time to build some permaculture bridges. Yay! That's great. Hubby and I have grown mushrooms for nigh on over 30 years now. So it's kind of sad. We actually quit doing that for a while. Looks like we may or may not be going back to it. Okay. Annie Bear, go ahead and tell me what would be like your normal meals throughout the day. Like, give me your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then snacky doos. Some people will just eat snacks. They'll eat like 5 or 6 times a day. And then other ones will be, oh, goodness. Other ones will be 3 main meals and maybe a snack later on. But if you could just give me a framework for like what's normal for you to eat. Cool. See, Janet DC. I'm still working on energy systems, so let me see if I can dip into you, and I'll do your kitty cat at the same time. Goodness. Oh, goodness. Yeah, a little dizzy there, huh? Oh, poor baby. Hang on a minute. Okay, I'm going to close my eyes so I can go ahead and work on Janet's thing right quick. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, a little irpy. Sorry. This is the other fun thing is whenever I dip into the energy field, it's easier for the energy to work for me than it is the people or the pets. So usually I'll end up doing the energy moving. Irpy for sure. Headache. Oh, you poor baby. I know. Just working on Janet DC's kitty cat right quick. Dialing over many of the same meridians that we've all done. Oh, but we're just going to sit through your cat right quick. Goodness, that head. Now, sometimes if they're running a low grade fever, you can just monitor that. And if the fever breaks within a day or two, that's fine. It's whenever it runs into the super high heat that you're running into trouble. And you can just reach out and touch them and feel if they're getting the fever. But a lot of times our knee jerk reaction is, oh no, there's a fever. I've got to break it instantly. And actually, the fever is in a response to attempting to raise the temperature in order to cook the bacteria that's causing the illness. So as long as they are slightly elevated in a temperature or sometimes slightly lower is the other indicator that you can have. Monitor it. Obviously, if it's something like 106, get them to their vets. And if it lasts more than, let's say, a day or two, then you definitely need to be in discussion with your vet. See if there's another way to support them. Oh, you're welcome, honey. We'll see if that helps. Okay, great. Oh, goodness. Okay. Okay, so we're scroll back up just a little bit. And Janet's also had a wicked cold. Okay, Janet, now that I've worked on your cat, let me see if I can work on you just a little bit. That probably was you a little bit too that I was working on because of the, I was doing a lot for the skull. In fact, if anybody is struggling with some cold symptoms, you can certainly go back through this because I was doing an awful lot around the sinuses, the eyes, the throat especially, and the lungs. And that will definitely help to shake that off. great. So we will scrolly, scrolly, scrolly. Take that off. See what we got right quick here. Stress, sure. Okay, here we go. So tea, water, popcorn, mm-hmm. Veggies. Okay. Mm-hmm. Follow your impulses. Yep. You're very welcome, Janet. Follow your impulses, Annie Bear. And that's just it. Right now, there's a lot of changes that are happening to us as the new energies come in. You're very welcome. Okay. Um, that's great. Depending on your body type, you're very welcome. Um, the gummies at the end, if you have a Pitta Ayurvedic type body type, that may be a challenge as well. That may cause stress to your body instead of being helpful. Somebody's shoulder. You're very welcome. Yeah, I started my inner shoulder on my right arm. That's another me thing. That's a somebody else thing. Oh, that's the other one. If you're struggling with that, whoever this is, you can try turning with your hands. Turn your palms upward, and then you can just lay them in your lap or alongside your body. Sometimes by having your hands in an upright alignment with your palms up, that and just relax your arms back down again. But what will happen is that will help your arm to go into a more neutral alignment and will help to take some of that pressure off of especially the inner part of the arm. It will help to rotate the arm again a little bit further backward. And sometimes you will help pop your neck. Oh, I too. Oh, could be. Could be. But it's not just him, that's just that thank you one and all absolutely for showing up and being here in the live. You're representatives for a great amount of people who are watching this right now and who can't comment, and for those who will come along in the future. And the cool thing about the energy healing is that if somebody else has already spoken up for you, you're getting the exact same energy healing and the exact same energy relief as if that was you. So if there's something that I have done on here or that I have maybe missed, maybe maybe say that you're struggling with like gout or something, make the intent that you're going to get the exact energy that you need from this. Just make that intent, and the energy will go ahead and do what it needs to do for you to help with the balancing. Cool. That's perfect, Hypnicity. That means you're doing it the correct type. Yeah, Annie Bear, for the Pitta body types, absolutely. There are tests that are done online. I want to say Banyan Botanicals has one of those tests that you can do, and it's for Ayurvedic medicines and just Ayurvedic herbals, basically. And so you can take that test, and it will give you an idea of what your body type are. There are 3 different main body types in Ayurvedic medicine, and you can be a blend. You can be the 3 types are Kapha, Pitta, and Vata. And so the gummies that she was mentioning earlier, I know from personal experience, do not work with the Pitta body type and will cause a lot of trouble, but they are supremely supportive for, say, a Kapha body type, and Vata body types are fine with that. But it is too aggravating for the Pitta body type. And so you can take tests. Like I said, Banyan Botanicals has one of those, but you can just, let me type in. I struggle to say it, but it's I hope I'm spelling it correctly. Ayurvedic body types. Just Google this. Google that as a quiz. And then Banyan Botanicals, I think they have it because they sell the herbal mixtures for, but botanicals. But they are one of the places that definitely will have the tests that you can do. And what you do is go through it, try to answer all the questions as truthfully as you can. And usually you put in like your email or something. Thank you, Rush. This is how you do this. Okay. I struggle with that. There we go. Rush is giving us the correct way to write that. I struggle to say it and I struggle to write it. But that Banyan Botanicals is definitely the one, and they have a quiz on there. So just try to answer their questions as truthfully as possible. And then there's you give them their email. And the cool thing is usually they'll send you coupon codes, discount codes. Or at least they'll give you information, and their information has been very beneficial over the years. I've gotten quite an education from the different seasons and how the different body types will interact with the different seasons and the different seasonal challenges that'll happen. Cool. Thank you. That's wonderful, Russ. So, but yeah, you can find a lot of body challenges that you didn't realize that you had. And so that may give you some added information and help and support. The problem is it's that particular plant that causes that problem. And it may not be that's causing your challenges, Annie. There may be something else that's going on. It's also equally not very popular, but you may also look up oxalates. Oxalates and oxalate poisonings are another problem. I'm going to spell this wrong. Oxalates in foods. And so this is one of those things that gradually builds up in our foods and in our systems, but it's present there all the time. And again, this is something the plants use these structures as defense mechanisms. And so a little bit, kind of like the old Greeks used to say, a little in moderation for everything, because a little bit's not going to harm you, but too much. If you've overdone it, it is definitely going to cause trouble. But what happens is those structures will build up in your body. And so whenever you go into something that's like an exclusion diet, where you've dialed those back out of your body, then what will happen is your body goes, yippee! And suddenly it tries to force all of the toxins back out and into the bloodstreams. And then you can end up with this bottlenecking of things. So so it's just a matter of going very slowly with that to ease it back up and out of your body. And if you've got symptoms of it, where you just brought too much in, potatoes are one of the ones, black teas. These are some of the things that can be, that are full of oxalates. And so you can eat or drink that in order to tell your body to slow it down a little bit. Because it's a matter of just gradually getting them back out. Rome wasn't built in a day. And so whenever we have trouble from something like the oxalates that are in the foods, you do need to be gradual whenever you reverse it. So like some people, like I said, they'll go on an exclusion type diet, trying to improve their health. And so sometimes they'll have something that'll pop up on the detox journey where it will be a histamine response in the body. And they'll automatically think, oh my goodness, it's something that I'm eating, this diet or this thing that I am doing may not be for me. But what's actually happened is the body went, oh God, you finally stopped poisoning me. And now I can get all this junk up and out of my tissues, and they really can go for it. And then you can run into trouble. Then you'll have symptoms like you'll have trouble with your kidneys, or you'll have trouble with the liver or the gallbladder. Sometimes stomach and the intestines can be impacted from that because, like I said, you're completely trying to detox absolutely everything at once, and that's not so good. If you do detox, um, be very gentle with whatever you're doing. That's all I ask is that you go about it slowly, and that's just that the energy work is pretty quick on here, and so it's I can absolutely be supportive as we go forward. Amanda Carroll, I'm not positive about kava. I've never heard anybody comment on kava one way or another, so I'm not sure. It looks like Rush is answered though, perhaps for the kava strains. Hmm. Yeah. So this is like I said, it's the old Greek thing of everything in moderation. Yeah, it took me a year to detox from the antidepressants. Yep. And a lot of it is just giving your body the time it needs to just gradually undo what's been there. And it can feel uncomfortable as you're doing that. In fact, there was one, if you take sinus tablets, especially this time of year, and as we're going into hay fever season, it's tempting to take a ton of sinus tablets. And what can happen is you're taking the sinus tablets because you've got the stuffed up nose, or your eyes are shut, or whatever. And then when you try to wean yourself off of the allergy tablets, you end up just instantly swelling back up again. Well, there is an effect that happens with the body when you have stopped an antihistamine. It will cause the tissues to automatically swell up. And it's not that you're having the allergic response still. It's just that your body needs to reset itself for that response. So if you can tough it out, nasal sprays are really good for that. You can use xylene, or you can use saline type nasal sprays to help clear. Mm-hmm. And you're clear. Yeah, the skin is beautiful. If you have skin lesions and skin rashes or bumps, that's just it. Your skin is going to be reflecting it as well. And so while you're releasing it and the skin is clearing up as well, that's a great indication of your health and the condition of the body as well. Yeah, I love Rescue Remedy. Rescue Remedy is really nice. That's an herbal support, and it's not the CBD support. Yeah, Rescue Remedy is really good. Yeah, Whole Foods. Yep. Yeah, I know the Rescue Remedy simply because I have friends that were over in the UK, and so they used it for whenever they were doing like going into shows with their horses because they jump things, jump fences and whatnot. So they used the Rescue Remedy a lot for them and the horses. Wowzers! Wow, well done, Rush. It's incredible. Well done. Good for you. And that's just it. As we ease into this, it's small things, but we just kind of want to take note of what can I do that's small and easy for me to do that might have a health gain. And that may be looking at your food and swapping one version of a food for another. Maybe something is just not as supportive to you now as what it used to be, and you can do exchanges. Like, I'll give you an example. Potatoes, you could swap it for sweet potatoes, and then just instead of maybe having 3 eggs, you could try 2 eggs. It's just simply a matter of doing this a little bit at a time, and then giving your body, usually give it about 3 days and see what happens. Yeah, everything that's a tiny little step will bring you forward. Yes, I love the local honey. With the local honey, make sure that it is what's called cold slung. And by that, there's no heat that's used in order to get the honey itself. Mhm. Beautiful. Beautiful. Wowzers. Well done, you. Yay. That's great. Yes, she's also recommending this as well. And this isn't for any medical diagnosis, anything like that. This is simply for entertainment and spiritual purposes and support. All of the energy stuff that I have done today, as I said, this was focused primarily on animals, but people are animals too. And so it is focused on making sure that your energy system is supported, which also helps with your body. Cabbages. Yep. Andy's going for cabbages and the white beans for my gut health. Trader Joe's does an amazing sauerkraut. It is just so full of vitality. Had kimchi with my egg this morning. Yum, yum. Ooh, sauerkrauts and beets. You can have my beets. I don't like beets. But I'll take the sauerkraut. My main thing for the not and see, this is a perfect example. It's like this sauerkrauts and beets. The beets, yes. Actually, I don't think that the sweet potatoes are. If they are any better, then I stand corrected. But but I was using that as a example of sometimes whenever you have somebody that is diabetic, they will go from eating high starchy potatoes to a yam or a sweet potato to help take the stress off of your spleen. But you might be correct that they are high in oxalates as well. But just to get back to the beets right quick, I test really super high my iron content. My iron content is off the charts, so I naturally just don't have a thing for beets, and that's why. It's because beets are super high in iron. Yes, 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 yes. I know it is just it's it's vibrant. It's got that life thing to it that I just adore. Yep. We were talking about the oxalates. So let me try to. Annie Bear and I were talking about oxalates, and you can look that up. You can look that up in the uh, YouTube. There's a lady, and she's called. Let me see if I can. Actually, no, I don't remember if that was the right woman or not. No, I don't think that was. It was a different woman that I'm thinking of. But yeah, if you look up the oxalates or oxalate poisonings, it is a lot of interesting information. And it makes sense because I've known for ages that plants themselves don't like to be eaten. And so they have their own internal structures they will take and create. And it's a mechanical defense mechanism to stop herbivores. So they are protecting themselves. And so what happens is over time, the oxalates do the job of wiping out your herbivores in a local area, or at least not wipe them out entirely, but will reduce the population from eating on them. So it's something to be aware of and to make sure that whenever you're eating, that you're not accidentally eating nothing but wall-to-wall foods that contain high versions of the oxalates. Um, yeah, it was fascinating to me. I came across it whenever I was doing more of a paleo type diet, which is more of a foundational kind of eat for your biology, yeah, sort of a deal. I tend to look at what your dental looks like, and then I match the diet that goes with that. So, like cats, for instance, you look at their teeth. Same thing with ferrets. You're going to need something that's way more carnivore than the dogs are going to have. And it's like with humans, we've got both. So we'll balance with what we're eating between plant material but also carnivore. And the more that you go older with the women, that is something I'm going to speak to right quick though. Is so there was a lady, and her name is Dr. Elizabeth Bright. And so, yeah, like ethnicity saying, not full carnivore because we love the veggies. I'll balance between the two. But what she was saying for females, especially as we get older, you actually want to have healthy fat in your diet because to begin with, the brain itself is 80% fat. Okay? I'll say that again. Your brain needs fat to be healthy. And from that, you want to avoid things like the seed oils. They have found that the seed oils contain a lot of inflammation. Most of us that were raised in the 70s, God bless us, we got sold the lie that margarine was safe. And from what I've discovered, no, nothing could be further from the truth. So, and but it is much more beneficial for older females to survive the colorectal need. Yeah, that's just it. You do that. And it's the same thing for the women. God bless them. The men do the best that they can. But when it came to the women, we really got short shrifted because we need fat in order to create more of our hormones than the men do. And even the men are going to need to do more fat in their diet. You're looking at things like butter, ghee. If you're one of those people that struggle with congestion because or you're lactose intolerant, you can do different types of fats, but you can absolutely do beef tallow or one of the like lard. But if that isn't in alignment with your religious beliefs or something else that's not supportive to you, like I said, you can cook with tallows. And yeah, like ethnicity, that's exactly it. Yeah, she's saying that, and my mom thought margarine was healthier. My mom did too. You would not believe the amounts of margarine we consumed when we were younger because we were told the lie that margarine is better and healthier than butter. And couldn't be further from the truth. Duck fat is another amazing fat that you can use. And like I said, the important thing with this is just simply it gives your body, especially as women that are past menopause or going through menopause, it's giving your body the building blocks in order to be able to create the hormones that you're absolutely needing in your body. And so let me put her name in. The other thing that she was recommending, Dr. Elizabeth Bright, for and this was for everybody, is a drop or two of iodine a day in a glass of water. And the reason why for that is because we do tend to be, especially if you live in a mountain region, and there are certain areas in the U.S. that's called the Border Belt that tends to be around Ohio, the Allegheny Mountains, so Kentucky, Tennessee. And so by using the iodine in the water and just drinking that once a day, it will help your body to have that. It's great for staving off things like viruses, mold, fungi. Beautiful. Janet, with you, what I highly recommend, as long as you are not allergic to them, mushrooms. Mushrooms are absolutely amazing, and they are very high in protein. They are one of the only thing on the planet that can fix vitamin D3 just by exposure to sunlight. So as long as you are not allergic to them, mushrooms would tailor perfectly in with a vegan lifestyle. And that's one too. If you are, and again, this is not to medically diagnose or anything, this is just entertainment purposes only. But um, lion's mane is absolutely beneficial for your brain. Great. So you're well on the way. Beautiful. Yeah. But yeah, that is something that you can actually use as a food source for proteins. Go ahead and yeah, what you can do is cook them in. You could cook them in avocado oil, tear them up with your fingers, and cook them in the oil first, and then add them to anything. You could do stir fries. You can do um, whatever your different veggie mixes are. Sorry, I had egg foo young pop into my brain, but I don't think you can do that because then you've got the egg. But yes, if you can, set the mushrooms in the sun, and you can do that even with your dried as well. Beautiful. That is great. Actually, no, avocado oil isn't considered a seed oil because you're not actually. It's not. It doesn't go into the same as the other seeds. And I cannot remember why, but it is, I think because it's classed as a fruit instead of a nut, would be my guess. But I do remember that it was one of the good ones. And yes, Annie Bear is absolutely saying you'll want to make sure, especially if you are doing any medications at all, go ahead and check to see. It is my understanding that there isn't any interactions, but you do need to make sure that you are paying attention to what you've got and what you're eating and how it could potentially interact. I'll give you an example. If you're on a medication that's supposed to calm you or help with your anxiety, the last thing you're really going to want to do is drink 10 cups of coffee a day. So, yes, you kind of do need to pay attention to that. And again, moderation is key. Just because the mushrooms are awesome to eat, you'll want to make sure that you don't accidentally gorge on them or something that make you sick. But gorging on anything will make you sick. Gorging on water will make you sick. Everything in moderation. And yeah, most of it's just about getting in there and playing around and seeing what works great with your body. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So apparently, for the turmeric supplements, if you were on something to do with the blood, then you need to be cautious with that. The pressure meds, okay, the blood pressure meds. Hmm. Yeah, and Lori Hunsinger is bringing up a very valid point. So if you have autoimmune conditions, then you definitely will want to limit your mushrooms because the mushrooms are one of those foods that will help your immune system to get stronger. And so you need to balance with that. Good Lord, why would you do that? That's that's bonkers. But yeah, water poisoning. That's mhm. And yeah. So yeah, everybody's just simply expressing that basically it's on you. You're the one putting the things into your body, and so be sure that you check, and you'll want to make sure that it's going to work with your body and what's going on with you right now in the moment. But this is great because that's, as we move into the age of Aquarius, which is the age of Lemuria 5, which welcome to Planet Matea. If you've encountered me, you're on Lemuria 5. And as Annie Bear is popping in, Wawanui. Wawanui is much love to everyone. It's one of our phrases. Um, but yeah, as we're stepping into it, the key to that is sovereignty, and each one of us will be stepping into our own sovereignty. And so that means we need to make sure what works for somebody else may not actually work for me. You need to start taking control of what works best for my body and how my body feels eating and drinking things. How am I feeling? Same thing with the energy system, kind of like today. Quite a few people came in here, thankfully, and they had low energy or they were dealing with grief. And so you can come back to this replay and dip in, listen to it. Like I said, if we haven't covered something, then go ahead and just make the intention that you're going to get exactly what you need from listening to this energy replay. And then, of course, if you want to work with me one-on-one, then you can go to my website, debbiedement.com, and I do have openings for one-on-ones if you want to do a deep dive. Or if you want, you can grab one of the MP3s, and those are for cat specific, dog specific, human specific, horse specific. Yes, yes. And yeah, being aware of our light bodies, being aware of what's bringing our energy up, making sure that we give ourselves time and space, being able to detox. Yes, yes. As Tea Garden Chicken saying, that's one reason that the homemade food tastes so good. So that we actually, it's made with love. And you got to consider, one of our energy centers, fingers, but also the center of the palms of your hands. So as you're making the food, your energy is going into it. Oh, beautiful. You're so welcome, Manny Bear. Yay. Absolutely. She's saying, I'm going to listen to this energy adjustment again. Wonderful. That's great. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you again for hopping in here. I know this was pretty impromptu, but I'm really glad that I was able to get in here this week and do this for everybody. And so at this moment, I don't have anything else until I will be seeing everybody again next Tuesday for the Oracle card reading and for our energy chat, our live Lemurian energy and regular energy chats. Oh, you are so, so welcome, Lori Hunsinger. And you're very welcome, Rush. And yes, activations. There are a lot of activations that are happening right now. There's a lot going on with the energy field right now. And so if you want to, you can listen to any one of the older chats that I'm doing. Or there are videos. There are 3 videos that are on the front page of my channel that you can listen to as well that help with the grounding as well. So those are all supportive and free. Okay, everybody. Thank you so, so much for being here. This is wonderful. Great. Well, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I hope you have a great weekend too. Bye-bye. Aw, Frankie Bird. Bye, Frankie Bird. Loves you. Love Frankie Bird.